Welcome everyone to another edition of The Rundown. I'm your host, Mike Revollo, and later on I'll be joined by Drew Moor to talk about the loss at the Portland Timbers over the weekend for the Colorado Rapids, which also means that the Rapids are knocked out of MLS Cup playoff contention for the 2023 season. So we'll talk about what that means for this Rapids side. And afterwards, we'll look ahead. Another quick turn with the Vancouver Whitecaps coming to Dick's Sporting Goods Park at midweek. That and more on The Rundown. All right, Drew, so let's talk about that result over the weekend at the Portland Timbers. The Colorado Rapids losing 3-2, which also means that they're out of MLS Cup playoff contention. Before we get to what that means in terms of being out of the playoffs for the 2023 season, let's go over the match against the Portland Timbers, what you saw out of this Rapids side.
Another poor start, and you can't wait to get punched in the mouth before you start playing, right, or start fighting. And the Rapids did show a lot of fight to get back into the game, which you can't take that away. You go down 2-0, and the way they responded to come back, get the match even at halftime, they showed a lot of fight there. And it's been a little bit of a theme so far this season, especially recently. 15 minutes in the match, 20 minutes in the match, you find yourself down a goal or two. And in this league, against some of the teams you play against and some of the players that these teams have, it's too deep of a hole to dig yourself out of. And it's disappointing. And I think it's a mentality thing, right? You can almost throw tactics out the window early in the match and just make it a fight early. It's a difficult one, I think, but seeing Diego Rubio score a goal, seeing Gutman get himself another goal was, it was a positive. And again, I thought the second half response was very good as well. Unfortunately, they walk away with nothing, but you have to start games a little bit better.
You put yourself in a hole when you're just waiting for the other team to kind of set the tone for the match. But then from there, obviously, it was nice to see the Rapids respond the way they did again. As you mentioned, Diego Rubio score a goal, get on the score sheet, Cole Bassett having another good game, being involved. But it would be nice to see that throughout the 90 minutes so that the Rapids put themselves in a better position. Who's to say that they start that match away at a difficult environment in a better spot against the Timbers, even get the result. With that now, that loss, like I mentioned earlier, that the Rapids are out of MLS Cup playoff contention, where does the focus shift now for this Colorado Rapids side, that being the case?
I don't think the focus shifts too much. Obviously, it's disappointing and frustrating when you're out of the playoff hunt, because as a player, until you're eliminated from the playoffs, that's what your number one goal is, right? To get into the playoffs. And I made a comment when there were 12 games left coming out of Leagues Cup that this is the time for that playoff push, because as a player, that's what you're thinking about, no matter how far behind you are or how many points you have to make up. You never know what can happen in this league. But now it's official, out of the playoff hunt. Everybody still has something to play for. The team still has something to play for. You have contracts to play for. You have, finishing with pride as far up the table as you possibly can, on a good note going into the offseason. Who knows what's going to happen in the offseason? Who knows what's going to happen at the start of next season? It doesn't really matter. You have a game in front of you against the Vancouver Whitecaps. You have a game on the weekend after that, right? You still have to take it one game at a time. You have to take it one training session at a time, as individuals, as a team, as a staff. Being eliminated from the playoffs, it sucks, but there is still something to come in here and play for and train for every single day. And I expect every player and every member of the staff to do that.
Certainly no time to dwell on the fact that the team is eliminated from MLS Cup playoff contention. Because again, another quick turn with another midweek match here at Dick's Sporting Goods Park, this time against the Vancouver Whitecaps, who with this match at Dick's Sporting Goods Park, they're going to close out a 7 consecutive road games that they've played before they go home and see out a few more games at home for the rest of the season. They won 3 of those road games that they had, and we all know that it's very difficult to travel in this league, go away from home, and earn any sort of result. But the Whitecaps have looked good. In particular, I would say Ryan Gauld and Brian White, those would be the 2 guys to keep an eye on for the Rapids leading up to this match against the Vancouver Whitecaps here at Dick's Sporting Goods Park.
Absolutely. It's certainly been the Ryan Gauld, Brian White show for them. They have a connection right now that is extremely dangerous. They're finding themselves on the score sheet. Gauld is getting assists to Brian White. He's dangerous on set pieces. He's dangerous through the run of play. This is the end of, as you said, a very long road trip for them that I think they'll already consider a success in terms of points. They're right on the cusp of qualifying for the playoffs. Again, the Whitecaps, we talked about it earlier in the year when the Rapids went there. They're a hard team to pin down, but they're a good team. They're organized defensively. They play with it's kind of a 3 center backs, 3-5-2 almost a little bit. But again, even their shape and their tactics are hard to pin down. They're organized and they fight for each other. And they've got one of the top playmakers in the league in Ryan Gauld. I'm a big fan of a couple of their defensive midfielders, Kubas and Vite, who hold things down and allow Ryan Gauld to kind of do what he wants to do. And Brian White is a goal poacher right now that is getting on the end of just about everything thrown in the box for the Whitecaps. So they'll come in here with a lot to play for. Even if they have tired legs, who knows, they could make some lineup rotations. I don't think they will. I think they'll go and come in here trying to qualify for the playoffs. But it'll be a difficult task. Good match for the Rapids to see where they are now that they know their fate in terms of the playoffs.
For sure, Drew. Yeah, this is a tough test against the Vancouver Whitecaps, a side that we've seen that they can get results on the road. They did so in this very long stretch on the road. So the Rapids will have to be ready, even despite being at altitude, despite being at home, against a tough Vancouver Whitecaps side. And you, the viewers, can catch the match between the Colorado Rapids and the Vancouver Whitecaps on MLS Season Pass on Apple TV. That match is on Wednesday, September 27th, with kickoff set for 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time. Or you can come here to Dick's Sporting Goods Park to catch your Burgundy boys and cheer them on. That's it for this edition of The Rundown.